In the energy of everything, you'll discover the hidden power of energy in every moment. From your thoughts to the spaces you enter, learn how to harness this force to create a life that aligns with your deepest desires. This book will help you understand that you're not just existing, you're vibrating, creating, and transforming the world around you. The energy of everything. Introduction. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt the energy shift? Maybe it was a sense of peace, or perhaps tension hung in the air, thick and uncomfortable. It's a feeling that's hard to explain, but we've all experienced it. And yet we rarely stop to ask, what is this energy and why does it affect us so deeply? In this book, we're going to explore the most powerful force in existence, the energy that surrounds us, flows through us, and shapes our world. It's the unseen force that impacts everything from the way we feel to the way we show up in life. This energy doesn't just exist in the physical world. It's in our thoughts, emotions, relationships, and every moment of our lives. The truth is, you are energy. Every thought you have, every emotion you feel, and every action you take sends out a vibration into the world around you. You may not always see it, but it's there. And this energy, this force, is what gives life its depth and meaning. It's what connects us all. In the energy of everything, we're going to uncover the hidden truths about energy. You'll discover how to become more aware of your own energy and how it affects your reality. You'll learn how to protect your energy without building walls. You'll find ways to cultivate positivity and release negativity. And perhaps most importantly, you'll see how you can harness this energy to create the life you truly desire. Whether you're struggling to find balance, seeking deeper meaning, or simply wanting to understand the forces that shape your world, this book will serve as your guide. It's a journey into understanding the most powerful source of all, the energy. That is you, the energy that is everything. The energy of everything. Introduction. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt the energy shift? Maybe it was a sense of peace, or perhaps tension hung in the air, thick and uncomfortable. It's a feeling that's hard to explain, but we've all experienced it. And yet we rarely stop to ask, what is this energy and why does it affect us so deeply? In this book, we're going to explore the most powerful force in existence, the energy that surrounds us, flows through us, and shapes our world. It's the unseen force that impacts everything from the way we feel to the way we show up in life. This energy doesn't just exist in the physical world. It's in our thoughts, emotions, relationships, and every moment of our lives. The truth is, you are energy. Every thought you have, every emotion you feel, and every action you take sends out a vibration into the world around you. You may not always see it, but it's there. And this energy, this force, is what gives life its depth and meaning. It's what connects us all. In the energy of everything, we're going to uncover the hidden truths about energy. You'll discover how to become more aware of your own energy and how it affects your reality. You'll learn how to protect your energy without building walls. You'll find ways to cultivate positivity and release negativity. And perhaps most importantly, you'll see how you can harness this energy to create the life you truly desire. Whether you're struggling to find balance, seeking deeper meaning, or simply wanting to understand the forces that shape your world, this book will serve as your guide. It's a journey into understanding the most powerful source of all, the energy. That is you, the energy that is everything. Chapter 1. Everything is energy, yes, even you. In a small apartment just outside Phoenix, Arizona, a 43-year-old single mother named Jessica sat in silence. The bills piled on the table. Her chest felt tight, like the air itself pushed against her ribs. No one was yelling, no alarms blared, but something inside her pulsed with heaviness. She couldn't explain it, but the room felt loud with invisible weight, like grief had its own gravity. She clutched her coffee and stared at the wall. Then, without warning, her daughter burst in, laughing, glowing, alive. Jessica smiled, not because the weight had lifted, but because her daughter's energy reached her before her words did. That's where it starts, with what we feel long before we understand it. Everything is energy. Not as a metaphor, but as literal truth. Every cell, every wall, every heartbeat vibrates at a frequency. Zoom into anything with a microscope, even steel or bone, and you won't find solid matter. You'll find movement, space, charge, vibration. We live in a world of signals, visible and invisible. When someone walks into a room, they shift the atmosphere. You felt it. Sometimes it's safety, sometimes it's chaos, and sometimes, like Jessica, you carry your own storm without speaking a word. Science calls it quantum reality. Spirituality calls it vibration. Real life just calls it real. And here's the part that breaks the illusion. You're not just in the energy. You are it. Your thoughts have frequencies. Your emotions ripple. Your voice, your silence, your very presence, everything emits a signal. You are a walking broadcast station, tuning into and transmitting energy every second. That's why environments feel different. Why some people drain you, and others make you feel like sunlight's pouring through your chest. That's why you can't fake peace. Energy doesn't lie. Jessica didn't change her circumstances in that moment, but she noticed the shift. Her daughter's joy cracked a window in the wall. That's where power lives, in awareness. Because the moment you notice, you get to choose. Do I lean into this feeling? Do I stay in this storm or begin to clear it? Reality bends when belief begins, and belief begins with recognition. I'm not stuck. I'm vibrating. I can shift. Practice. Right now, pause. Breathe deep. Close your eyes for 5 seconds. What are you radiating? Just notice. That's the first step to shifting your field. Chapter 2. You walk into a room and change it. In Atlanta, Georgia, 26-year-old Marcus had just landed his first real job interview after a year of rejection. He dressed sharp, rehearsed his lines, and walked into the lobby 30 minutes early. But something strange happened the moment he entered. Heads turned. The receptionist straightened up. One woman even smiled and nodded like she already knew him. Marcus hadn't said a word. He sat down, heartbeat steady. He wasn't the loudest person in the room. He didn't walk in like he owned the place, but his presence filled it. Calm, clear, solid. He got the job before they even saw his resume. That's energy. We don't always realize it, but we carry invisible signals everywhere we go. People feel our stress before they hear our voice. They sense our confidence before we make eye contact. Our presence either lifts the room or dims it. You've felt it too. Think about someone you've met who made you feel instantly safe. Or someone else who made your skin crawl before they even spoke. The words don't matter. The vibe does, because energy is communication, and it's constant. Whether you know it or not, you shift spaces. You either soothe the storm or add to the static. And the crazy part? You don't have to try to do this, you already do. That's the power and the responsibility of presence. Energy introduces you before your name does. This isn't about being the loudest person or having perfect posture. It's about alignment. When your inner world feels grounded, when your thoughts, emotions, and values flow together, you walk into rooms differently. People notice, even if they can't explain why, and when you're out of sync, the room feels it too. But here's the good news. You can shift your energy in real time. You don't need a perfect morning routine or a spiritual retreat. You just need to pause and remember. Reality bends when belief begins. And belief begins with how you see yourself, not in the mirror, but in motion, but in presence, in vibration. Marcus didn't change the world that day, but he shifted the energy in one room, and it changed his life. So the next time you enter a space, ask yourself, what am I bringing in with me? Because you never walk in empty. You always bring energy. Practice. Before you walk into your next room, home, work, or even a store, pause. Breathe once, and silently set your tone. I bring peace. Watch what happens next. Chapter 3. The frequency of your thoughts. At 6:12 a.m., Marcus sat in his car outside the hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. His hands trembled on the steering wheel. His father was inside, barely holding on after a massive stroke. Marcus hadn't slept. The morning sky blurred behind the windshield, soft and gray. His thoughts spun in sharp circles. What if he dies? What if I didn't do enough? What if I break down in there? Each thought hit like a wave, heavy, loud, endless. And then a strange thing happened. He remembered a moment from childhood, his dad teaching him how to ride a bike. Don't look down, son. Look where you want to go. Marcus had fallen every time he looked at the ground. He looked up. The sky was still gray, but something inside had shifted. He walked into that hospital, still, scared but steadier, more present, focused. His thoughts hadn't stopped, but the frequency changed. We often believe thoughts are just background noise, but they're more like signals, broadcasts that shape how we experience the world. Each thought carries a charge, a frequency, a vibration that affects not only how we feel, but what we attract, how we behave, and how our body responds. Negative thoughts aren't bad, they're just heavier. They move slower. They grip tighter. That's why fear loops feel like they never end. They're sticky, dense. They lower your field not because you're broken, but because you're tuned into something painful. And here's the power. You can change the station. Just like Marcus remembering his dad's words, a shift in thought is a shift in frequency. A thought like I'm failing pulls you down, but one like I'm learning opens space. Same situation, different signal. This doesn't mean fake positivity. You don't pretend everything's okay when it's not. But you can choose thoughts that feel 1% lighter, 1% more truthful. That's how energy begins to lift. When you say, I'm not enough, your nervous system tightens, your body shrinks, your energy dims. But when you shift to, I'm trying and that matters, you feel the field open. Your breathing slows, your chest loosens. That's not placebo, that's physics. Your thoughts are not just words, they're waves. And when you tune those waves with intention, your entire inner world begins to rise. Reality bends when belief begins. And belief often begins with a single thought that dares to speak a new truth. Practice. Catch one heavy thought. Today. Don't fight it, just notice it. Then gently replace it with one that feels kinder, clearer, or slightly more open. Watch what changes inside you. Chapter 4. Emotional Energy. Why You Feel Heavy Sometimes. In Chicago, Illinois, a man named Jordan stood alone in a grocery store parking lot. The sun had just set. He held a bag of frozen peas in one hand and a silence so loud it throbbed in his chest. His divorce had finalized that morning. No screaming, no accusations, just paperwork and a judge who didn't make eye contact. Jordan didn't cry. He hadn't in months. But the weight sat on him like a second skin. It didn't speak. It didn't explain. It just pressed. On his shoulders, in his stomach, behind his eyes. When he drove home that night, even the music felt too sharp. That's emotional energy. Not the drama, not the words, the weight. Emotions aren't just passing moods. They're signals, vibrations in the body. They show up physically, tight chests, clenched jaws, shallow breaths. You don't just feel heavy, you carry heavy. The problem? We're taught to push through, to stay strong. But emotional energy doesn't evaporate just because we ignore it. It stores. It settles in the body like packed snow. Over time, unprocessed emotions start to ache. They wear disguises: fatigue, numbness, anxiety, random outbursts. Jordan didn't know how to talk about his grief. He just knew his energy had collapsed. That's what sadness does when it's ignored. It turns inward. It grows roots. Here's what most people miss. Your body holds on until you choose to release. Not because it's broken, but because it's loyal. It carries your pain when your mind won't. That's how much it loves you. But heaviness is not weakness. It's a request. It's your body whispering, "Feel me. Move me. Let me breathe." Energy needs movement. That doesn't mean crying in public or yelling into a pillow, unless that's your way. It might just mean sitting in your car for 5 minutes and saying, "Yeah, this hurts." Or journaling something you never planned to admit. Or walking until the rhythm of your steps outruns the thoughts in your head. Reality bends when belief begins. And the belief that emotions are energy, not flaws, that changes everything. Practice. When you feel heavy, ask, "Where in my body is this sitting?" Then breathe into that space. Name the feeling out loud. Let it be real. That awareness alone creates motion. Chapter 5. The Energy We Inherit. In a quiet corner of Memphis, Tennessee, Marcus stood at the edge of his grandmother's funeral. He was 32, a schoolteacher, known for his calm voice and heavy silences. As the preacher spoke, Marcus felt something strange. Not just grief, but weight. Not just sorrow, but residue. Later that night, sitting alone on the back porch, he remembered how his grandmother used to sit there too. Same chair, same hush. She had survived segregation, loss, and a life of hard decisions. And somehow, without saying much, she had passed that weight down to him. It wasn't in the stories. It was in the pauses between them. What if we carry more than our own memories? Energy doesn't start with us. It continues through us. The homes we grow up in carry emotional frequencies. The way your father slammed a door, the way your mother smiled through pain, the tone of silence during dinner, all of it settles inside the body. It lives in the nervous system. We call it personality, but much of it is inheritance. Trauma passes through generations, not just through blood, but through energy. Patterns repeat. Anger hides. Shame whispers in new voices. But it's all the same storm, changing form. And yet, here's the miracle. Awareness disrupts inheritance. When Marcus finally spoke to his mother about the funeral, he said, "I don't want to carry what doesn't belong to me." Her eyes welled up. "Neither,"
"Did I?" she said.
In that moment, 2 generations exhaled a truth they had both inherited but never spoken. The energy we inherit doesn't define us, but it does wait for us to notice it. You are not just your own story. You are the echo of every person who came before you and the seed of everyone who comes after. But you are also the turning point. You can interrupt the echo. You can rewire what was automatic. You can stop passing down what was never meant to last. Reality bends when belief begins. And belief begins with the radical idea that what you inherited is not your final identity. It's your invitation to heal. Practice. Today, ask yourself, what emotional pattern in my family have I inherited, but never questioned? Then write it down. Naming it is the first step to ending it. Chapter 6. The body remembers what the mind ignores. In 2017, in a quiet corner of a bustling New York City hospital, a woman named Sarah sat in the waiting room, clutching the edges of her chair. She'd been through years of trauma, starting in childhood, yet today it felt as if the weight of all those years was coming for her in one overwhelming rush. Her stomach twisted, her hands shook. But she told herself it was just nerves, just stress. She had a job interview to prepare for, a life to manage. She had to stay together. The doctor had told her everything was fine physically, but emotionally, her body wasn't so sure. The aching in her shoulders, the tightness in her chest, the way she couldn't seem to take a full breath. It was like her body had a memory of its own, one her mind had long forgotten. That's the thing about the body. It remembers. We can push away pain, bury memories, distract ourselves with the next project or the next day. We can lock things up in the attic of our minds, convincing ourselves it's all been dealt with. But the body doesn't forget. From the tension in your jaw to the knot in your stomach, your body holds the energy of your experiences. Those moments you didn't have time to process, those words you didn't have the courage to speak, those emotions you stuffed down to avoid the mess. Your body is a living, breathing archive, storing the events that your mind tries to dismiss or push away. And it shows. In the way your back hurts when you feel unsupported, in the headaches that appear when you're overwhelmed with decisions, in the way you feel a sudden wave of anxiety when you step into a place or situation that mirrors an old memory. Sarah's story isn't unique. It's one we all know in some form. And it's not just physical discomfort, it's emotional too. Unresolved trauma, repressed feelings, and past pains don't stay in the past. They stay with you, in the fibers of your being, until you're ready to release them. The first step is awareness. When you begin to notice the patterns, the tightness in your throat when you speak about a painful subject, or the sudden fatigue when you remember an unresolved moment, you start to see that your body is trying to tell you something. Reality bends when belief begins, and belief begins when you realize that the body and mind are not separate. They are one. Your mind may forget, but your body? It remembers. Sarah over time began to listen. She took small steps, yoga, journaling, speaking to a therapist. She learned that healing didn't mean erasing the past. It meant honoring it, feeling it, and giving it the space to release. Practice. Take a moment today to check in with your body. Where are you holding tension? Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, what memory or emotion is this body part holding on to? You don't need to fix it right away. Just listen. Chapter 7. Money has a frequency, too. It was a rainy Tuesday morning in Atlanta, Georgia, when Marcus, a 31-year-old entrepreneur, found himself sitting in his favorite cafe, staring at the stack of overdue bills. His dreams of launching a tech startup felt miles away. His bank account hovered dangerously close to zero, and a familiar knot twisted in his stomach. He'd been hustling for months, grinding long hours, pitching investors, working late into the night. But every time he felt like he was gaining momentum, something would pull him back. He couldn't shake the thought, why does money always seem so out of reach? That day, as he sat there sipping his coffee, an elderly man at the table next to him struck up a conversation. The man's name was John, a retired financial planner who had spent years studying the psychology of money. Marcus shared his frustrations, and John nodded with understanding. Money, John said, isn't just paper or coins, it's a frequency, a flow. When you're in alignment with it, it flows to you. But when you push too hard, hold on too tight, or believe it's scarce, that energy repels it. Marcus was skeptical. He had heard about mindset shifts and manifestation before, but it all felt like wishful thinking. Still, something in John's eyes told him this conversation was different. So he listened. You see, John continued, money doesn't know what it's tied to. It's neutral. But the way you feel about money shapes how it moves toward you. When you're desperate or fearful, you're sending out an energy that repels abundance. But when you're relaxed, confident, and grateful even in the face of challenges, money is more likely to flow your way. It wasn't magic, it was energy. And like all energy, it could either flow or block, depending on how you tuned into it. That afternoon, Marcus reflected on what John had said. He realized he had been constantly worrying about money, putting it on a pedestal, feeling powerless and anxious. In that moment, Marcus made a decision. He would shift his energy. He would stop chasing money and start aligning with the abundance around him. He didn't need to control it. He needed to trust it. Reality bends when belief begins. The moment Marcus let go of fear and embraced possibility, he began seeing things differently. Opportunities started to present themselves. A phone call from an investor who had been out of reach, a new client referral, small but meaningful shifts that showed him money wasn't just a result of hard work, it was a reflection of his energy. Practice. Take a moment to think about your relationship with money. Are you chasing it, or are you aligning with it? Take 3 deep breaths, and with each one, release the fear or scarcity you associate with money. Affirm, I am in alignment with abundance. Chapter 8. The people around you are mirrors. In New York City, Amanda walked into her favorite cafe on a chilly fall morning. The air inside was warm, but her heart felt anything but. She'd just had a difficult conversation with her sister, filled with tension and unspoken words. As she waited for her coffee, she noticed the woman sitting at the corner table. The woman was alone, but her energy was magnetic. She was smiling, not in an overt way, but with a calm presence that made everyone around her feel at ease. Amanda watched her for a moment, feeling something stir within her. She wasn't even sure what it was. Perhaps it was envy, maybe admiration, but something about that woman's energy made Amanda pause. How does she do that? Amanda thought, as Amanda took her coffee and walked out of the cafe. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being shown something. The people around you are mirrors. That woman hadn't said a word to Amanda, but the energy she carried reflected something deep within her, a version of herself that Amanda had yet to meet. This wasn't coincidence. It wasn't just a chance encounter. That woman's calm mirrored Amanda's own need for peace, a stillness she had been avoiding. Without even trying, the woman had revealed something Amanda needed to see in herself. It happens all the time. The people who frustrate you the most, the ones who trigger something deep within you, are often revealing parts of you you're not ready to face. They hold up mirrors to your own insecurities, fears, or desires. The thing is, we don't always recognize it. We think that person is the problem. They are rude, or selfish, or needy. But often, they're simply reflecting an unhealed part of us, a shadow we refuse to acknowledge. It's not just the challenging people who serve as mirrors. The people who make you feel good, the ones who uplift you without trying, they're mirrors too. They show you the light, the joy, the expansiveness that you too have within you. In the same way, you're also a mirror for others. The energy you carry speaks volumes before you even say a word. And when you start to realize this, it changes everything. You stop blaming others for how you feel, and you start asking yourself, what is this reflecting back to me? Instead of reacting, you begin to reflect. Amanda left the cafe that day a little lighter, a little clearer. She wasn't angry at her sister anymore. She wasn't judging the woman for what she had seen in her. She was simply grateful for the mirror. Reality bends when belief begins. And your belief in yourself, in your ability to shift, starts by recognizing the mirrors around you. Practice. Next time someone triggers you, pause. Ask yourself, what part of me am I being shown right now? Use that moment as an opportunity to reflect and grow. Chapter 9. Tuning in. Your gut isn't lying. In the heart of Chicago, Marcus, a 34-year-old architect, stood in front of a sleek, modern building he had designed for months. It was a project he was proud of, elegant, innovative, with a stunning glass facade that reflected the city skyline. But something didn't feel right. He had been going through the motions, meetings, sketches, approvals. The design was sound, the clients were happy. But as the project neared completion, a small voice inside him whispered, "This isn't the right fit." It wasn't a thought. It was a feeling, a pressure in his chest, a tightness in his stomach that wouldn't go away. He pushed it aside. After all, who was he to question months of hard work and investment? But the feeling lingered, heavier with each passing day. It wasn't until his best friend, Ben, came to visit the site that the truth hit him. Ben, who knew nothing about architecture, stood next to Marcus and said, "This doesn't feel like you." Suddenly, Marcus realized Ben wasn't just commenting on the aesthetics. He was reflecting Marcus's own gut feeling that he had been ignoring. His body had been speaking to him the whole time. That gut feeling? It wasn't random. It was the energy of his intuition telling him that something was off. It wasn't about logic. It wasn't about facts or numbers. It was a deeper, more instinctual signal, a knowing that existed beyond the mind. Your gut, your intuition, isn't just some mystical concept. It's an energy field that connects you to what's real, what's right, and what's in alignment with your true self. It's grounded in the deepest part of you, constantly picking up signals that your conscious mind might miss. And when you learn to tune in, it's like tuning a radio to the right frequency. Many of us have learned to ignore our gut. We've been taught to think our way through life, to use logic over feeling. But here's the thing. Your body never lies. The tightness in your chest, the flutter in your stomach, the sudden urge to turn away from a situation, those are real signals, meant to guide you. Marcus took a breath and made a decision. He proposed a new vision to his clients, one that felt more aligned with his values and his purpose. They weren't sure at first, but when the plan shifted, something remarkable happened. The building came to life in a way he hadn't imagined before. It's not always easy to trust what you can't explain. But when you tune into your gut, you tap into a deeper knowing that goes beyond your conscious mind. And in a world full of noise, that voice is exactly what you need to hear. Practice. Next time you feel that flutter, that discomfort, don't ignore it. Take a moment to sit with it. What is your body telling you? Trust the message. Chapter 10. Words as Energy Spells. In Chicago, a high school teacher named Marcus stood in front of a classroom, ready to start the day. His students were used to the routine. The bell rang, the lesson began. But today, something was different. As Marcus spoke, his words were more than just instructions. They were a lifeline. You see, Marcus had been struggling for months. His personal life felt like it was crumbling under the weight of responsibilities, and his heart was heavy. But as he watched his students, their eager faces, their yearning for knowledge, something clicked. He began speaking not just to fill the silence, but with intention. He used his words like tools, carefully chosen, deliberate, full of energy. Each of you has something powerful inside, he said, his voice gaining strength. I don't care what anyone else has told you. Your voice matters. You matter. And today you're going to make a difference. For the first time in weeks, Marcus felt his own energy shift. His words, once mundane and habitual, were now charged with purpose. He wasn't just teaching history, he was speaking life into the room. And in turn, the students responded, hearts opening, minds shifting, the classroom buzzing with a new kind of energy. This is what words do. They aren't just sounds or syllables. They're energy. Vibrations that affect everything around them. Think about it. Every time you speak, you release waves of energy into the world. The tone, the choice of words, the meaning behind them. All of it carries weight. When Marcus spoke to his students, he didn't just give them facts. He gave them belief. And belief, like energy, spreads. It travels, it grows, it transforms. Just like Marcus, you have this power. Words are your spells. The way you speak about yourself, about your dreams, about your struggles. Those words become your reality. They shape how you see the world and how the world sees you. Think about the last time someone spoke words of encouragement to you. Remember how they made you feel? Invincible? Inspired? That wasn't just a compliment. It was energy. Positive, magnetic energy that moved you to act. But words can also cut deep. The language you use on yourself in moments of doubt or frustration has the same weight. When you call yourself stupid or worthless, you're sending out a signal. And that signal, no matter how fleeting, can be felt in your body, your energy, your future. The good news? You get to choose. Marcus wasn't just changing his students' lives, he was changing his own. He shifted the way he spoke, not just with others, but to himself. He stopped using words like I can't, and started saying, I will. Practice. Take a moment today to notice how you speak to yourself. Are your words lifting you up or are they holding you back? Shift just one sentence. Instead of saying I can't, try saying, I'm learning how. Watch what happens. Chapter 11. Environments that drain or charge you. Lena stood at the edge of the busy downtown square in Chicago, watching the crowds rush by. It was a typical morning, people darting from one place to the next, their faces set in a blur of frustration, fatigue, or focus. As she watched, something stirred inside her. The noise, the haste. It felt like it was pressing down on her chest. She felt small in the sea of energy, like an individual thought lost in a never-ending conversation. But then, her eyes caught a small park across the street. It wasn't big, just a patch of grass surrounded by trees. The noise of the city faded as her feet carried her toward it. She sat on a bench, closed her eyes for a moment, and took in the air. Something shifted. The moment her feet hit the grass, the weight on her shoulders lightened. The trees seemed to pulse with life, and her thoughts slowed down. The same Lena, same body, same mind, but the environment had changed. And in that simple shift, her energy had too. We are constantly interacting with our environments, even when we don't realize it, whether it's your home, your workplace, or the people you spend time with. Each space you enter, each person you engage with, either drains you or charges you up. And those shifts in energy are powerful, shaping your day, your thoughts, and even your future. We're like sponges, soaking up the energy around us, often without even knowing it. A cluttered desk can feel overwhelming, while an organized one can spark clarity. A room full of laughter feels light, but a tense atmosphere can freeze your heart in place. The problem is, many of us are unconscious of this flow of energy. We go through our lives without questioning whether the spaces and people around us are serving our energy or stealing it. In Lena's case, her environment had been draining her for weeks. The hectic pace of the city, the constant rush. It wasn't just physical exhaustion. It was mental, emotional. Her energy was constantly being pulled in 1,000 directions. But the park gave her something vital: space to breathe, space to reconnect. Energy doesn't always come from what you do. It comes from where you are and who you're with. Think about the places you spend the most time in. Do they drain you? Do they fuel you? Are you intentionally surrounding yourself with spaces and people that charge you? Or are you just going along accepting whatever energy is there? Just like Lena's choice to step into the park, you have the power to decide. You can choose spaces that replenish you, or environments that drain you. The difference: awareness. Once you recognize how a place or person impacts your energy, you can make a conscious choice to either stay in that space or walk away from it. Practice. Today, take 5 minutes to reflect on your environment. What space is draining you? What space gives you energy? Make a plan to either minimize time in draining spaces or to spend more time in places that recharge you. Chapter 12. Protecting your field without building walls. A few years ago in Los Angeles, Marco, a 29-year-old graphic designer, found himself standing at the edge of a decision. His job, his friends, even his apartment all felt off. He felt constantly drained, like he was plugging into a charger that didn't work. The energy around him, especially at work, was always chaotic. He couldn't escape it, and he started to feel like he was becoming part of the noise. His friends said, "You've changed, Marco," but he didn't know how to get back to himself. One afternoon, Marco had enough. He shut down his computer and took a walk outside. As he passed a quiet park, he noticed an older woman sitting on a bench, feeding the birds. She looked like she was glowing and as if nothing could touch her. Intrigued, Marco approached and struck up a conversation. Her name was Rita, and she listened. He told her about his work, his friends, his constant overwhelm. Rita paused, looked at him, and said something simple yet profound. "You don't have to build walls to protect yourself. Just learn how to carry your energy in a way that honors you." That statement stayed with Marco long after the conversation ended. Protecting your energy is a skill, not a shield. It's not about isolating yourself or pretending like the world doesn't affect you. It's about knowing when to say, "This is mine, you can't have it." The key is being aware of your energy and learning how to hold it with intention instead of closing off or becoming reactive. Walls might feel safe, but they trap everything, good and bad. They separate us from connection and growth. Boundaries, however, are a living, breathing practice. Boundaries aren't barriers. They're a way to protect your heart without locking it away. Here's the truth. You don't have to shut people out to protect yourself. You just need to become aware of where your energy is leaking. Is it in toxic conversations? Is it in trying to fix others? Is it in letting others dictate your mood? Marco learned to recognize when his energy was being drained, and instead of reacting, he started setting clear, gentle boundaries. Not walls, just a subtle awareness of where he could show up, and where he needed to step back to preserve his peace. It wasn't about cutting people off. It was about honoring his own space, knowing that he could still show up with love, but not at the expense of his soul. Reality bends when belief begins. And belief begins with this: you are worthy of energetic respect. The energy you bring into any room deserves to stay aligned with who you are, without fear of being overwhelmed or lost in someone else's storm. Practice. This week, take one conversation or situation where you typically feel drained and practice setting a gentle boundary. Whether it's a short break or shifting the topic, protect your energy by owning it first. Chapter 13. When the energy breaks down, and that's okay. Sarah, 35, had been pushing herself relentlessly for years. As a nurse in a busy city hospital, she was always on, always giving, always moving, always caring. But lately, her body and mind began to rebel. She was exhausted, emotionally drained, and unable to shake the feeling of being overwhelmed. One night, after a particularly exhausting shift, Sarah collapsed on her couch, unable to muster the energy to even remove her shoes. It was in that moment, staring at the ceiling, that she realized something. She had been ignoring her body's signals for far too long. Her energy wasn't just breaking down physically. It was breaking down emotionally and spiritually, too. It's easy to think of energy as something that's always supposed to be up or positive. We're told to stay high vibe, to always push forward. But the truth is, energy is cyclical. There are times when you're meant to rest, recalibrate, and even fall apart a little. It's in these moments that your energy has the space to rebuild itself stronger and clearer than before. Sarah's breakthrough came when she finally accepted that her breakdown wasn't a failure. It was a necessary part of her process. Instead of judging herself for feeling depleted, she chose to listen. She took time off, rested, and allowed her energy to return at its own pace. Reality bends when belief begins. And belief begins when we stop resisting the lows and embrace them as part of the journey, knowing they are just the beginning of new growth. Practice. Next time you feel drained, allow yourself to rest without guilt. Recognize it as a moment of recalibration, an opportunity to rebuild stronger. Chapter 14. Nature, the original energy source. In a quiet town near Boulder, Colorado, Sarah, a 34-year-old yoga teacher, found herself overwhelmed after weeks of non-stop work. Her mind was racing, her body exhausted, and she felt disconnected from the peace she once knew. One Saturday, she decided to take a hike alone into the mountains. As she walked through the towering pines, Sarah noticed the stillness around her. The rustling leaves, the steady rhythm of her breath. It all felt in sync. It wasn't just quiet, it was grounding. Each step on the earth seemed to ease the tension in her shoulders. By the time Sarah reached the summit, her heart was calm, and her mind had quieted. She realized something profound. Nature wasn't just beautiful. It was an energy source, one that didn't ask for anything in return. The trees, the wind, the mountains, they were full of life. But more than that, they were full of peace. Sarah sat on the rocks and closed her eyes. She breathed in deeply, feeling the pulse of life around her. It wasn't just the air that was healing her. It was the energy of the earth itself, steady and powerful, wrapping around her like a blanket. Reality bends when belief begins. When you stop to notice the energy of nature, it shifts something inside you. It reminds you that you too are part of something bigger, something ancient and ever-present. And when you connect to that energy, your own energy feels realigned. Practice. This week, spend 10 minutes outside each day, no distractions, just breathe, feel, and let nature restore your energy. Chapter 15. Love is the highest frequency, but it's not always pretty. In Atlanta, Georgia, 28-year-old Daniel sat on the edge of his bed, staring at a text from his ex-girlfriend. He could feel the old wounds reopening. They had loved deeply, but their relationship had crumbled under the weight of unspoken fears and unresolved arguments. He remembered the way she had once held his hand, like it was the most important thing in the world. Her energy had felt like home. But now, it felt like a ghost. Even after all the heartbreak, Daniel couldn't deny one thing. That connection was real, and in some strange way, it was still there. Daniel closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He remembered the first time they'd met, how their laughter had filled the room like a warm breeze. Love had once been easy, but now it felt heavy, tangled. That's when he realized, love isn't always pretty, but it's always real. Reality bends when belief begins. Love's frequency is the highest there is, but it's not always smooth. It's messy, raw, and sometimes painful. Love challenges us, makes us grow in ways we don't always want to. It's in the tears, the forgiveness, and the letting go. It's in the moments when you feel like giving up, but you keep holding on because something deep inside tells you that love is worth the mess. The highest frequency of love doesn't mean it's perfect, it means it's real. And sometimes the most beautiful form of love is the one that pushes you to face your shadows. Practice. This week, reflect on a relationship, past or present, and notice where love has pushed you to grow. Embrace the messy, real side of love, and allow it to shift your energy. Chapter 16. Creativity is energy, taking shape. In Brooklyn, New York, 26-year-old Marcus had always been a quiet soul, reserved and observant. He worked as a barista during the day, but at night he'd come alive in his small apartment, surrounded by paints, brushes, and blank canvases. He loved to paint, but there was always something holding him back. Doubt, fear, perfectionism. His creative energy felt stuck. One evening, after another long shift at the cafe, Marcus stood in front of his easel staring at the empty canvas. He had no plan, no idea where to start. Then for the first time he stopped thinking. He just picked up a brush and started moving it across the canvas. No expectations, no rules. Just the flow of his hand guided by something deeper than thought. As the strokes began to form, he felt something stir inside him, a shift. The colors and shapes took on a life of their own. It wasn't about creating the perfect image. It was about allowing his energy to flow through the brush and onto the canvas. The act of creation became a release, a way for his inner world to take form. Reality bends when belief begins. When Marcus allowed his creativity to flow freely, it wasn't just about making art. It was about expressing his energy in physical form. Creativity is the ultimate channel for energy, turning the invisible into something tangible. Whether it's through painting, writing, or music, creativity lets your energy take shape. Practice. This week, create something, anything. Don't worry about the end result. Just let the energy move through you and take shape. Chapter 17. Stillness isn't lazy. It's a reset. At 40, Jake had spent years running, always chasing success, moving from one project to the next. His calendar was packed, and his mind was always racing. But after a grueling year of late nights and endless meetings, Jake began to feel something he couldn't ignore, a quiet exhaustion. It wasn't just physical fatigue, it was soul-deep. One evening, after yet another sleepless night, Jake decided to take a break. He turned off his phone and sat on his balcony, the city lights flickering beneath him. For the first time in months, he did nothing. No agenda, no plans, just stillness. At first, it felt uncomfortable. His mind raced with thoughts of tasks he needed to catch up on. But slowly, his thoughts began to slow down, like the tide retreating. The quiet began to feel healing. It wasn't laziness. It was a reset. Jake realized that stillness isn't the absence of action. It's the foundation for real, meaningful action. Without the pause, we run on empty, reacting instead of responding. Stillness isn't an indulgence. It's a practice that refuels you, clearing the noise so you can hear your intuition more clearly. Reality bends when belief begins. When we allow ourselves to be still, we open the door to clarity. The world moves so fast, but when we pause, we tap into something deeper, something that propels us forward with purpose. Practice. This week, carve out 5 minutes each day to do nothing. No distractions. Just breathe and be still. Notice what shifts inside you. Chapter 18. Energy moves in cycles, not straight lines. Tyler, a 26-year-old freelance photographer from Nashville, hit a wall. For months, he'd been pushing himself to stay productive, finishing one project after another. But now, sitting in his tiny apartment, he felt burnt out and frustrated. Nothing seemed to be moving forward. His creativity was dry, and he questioned whether he'd lost his spark forever. One evening, he met a fellow photographer, Mia, at a local cafe. She was sitting quietly, sipping her tea, when she noticed Tyler's restless energy. "You look like you're running on empty," she said, smiling kindly. "I've been pushing so hard," Tyler admitted, "but it's like I'm stuck in a rut. My creativity is gone." Mia nodded and said something that stuck with him. "Energy doesn't move in a straight line. It moves in cycles. Sometimes you're in the growth phase, sometimes you're in the rest phase. You just have to honor the cycle." That simple truth changed how Tyler saw everything. He realized that energy, like life itself, is cyclical. There are seasons for action and seasons for rest. Just as nature has its rhythms, so does our energy. It's not about forcing progress every day. It's about respecting the flow. Reality bends when belief begins. When Tyler understood that he didn't need to be on all the time, he let himself rest. Within days, his creativity returned, but this time with more depth and clarity. Practice. This week, notice when you're in a phase of rest or slow energy. Instead of forcing productivity, embrace it. Allow the cycle to reset so you can return stronger. Chapter 19. You're already connected to everything. In a small town on the outskirts of Seattle, David, a 41-year-old carpenter, found himself standing on a bridge overlooking a river. Life had been weighing on him. His work was draining, his relationships felt distant, and he often felt like something was missing, as if he were floating through life, disconnected from everyone and everything. That afternoon, as he watched the water flow below, David remembered something his grandmother used to say. Everything is connected, David, like the roots of a tree. You may not see them, but they're holding everything together. Something in those words sparked a shift. He started to see the river not just as water, but as part of an endless cycle, flowing, giving life, returning to the ocean and returning to the earth. Everything in nature was part of the same flow, and so was he. David realized he wasn't separate from the world as he'd always thought. He wasn't isolated in his struggles. He was part of this vast, interconnected web of energy, where every person, every tree, every moment was inextricably tied together. Reality bends when belief begins. When David accepted the truth of his connection to everything around him, it was like a weight lifted. The pressure of isolation, of having to figure everything out alone, melted away. He felt a deep sense of belonging, not just to his community, but to the entire world. He wasn't just a solitary being. He was part of the flow of life, connected to all that was, all that is, and all that will be. Practice. Today, take a moment to remember your connection to everything around you. Whether it's a person, nature, or the world, feel how your energy is interwoven with it. Chapter 20. Becoming the energy you want to meet. Jasmine, a 40-year-old therapist in Chicago, was going through a rough patch in her life. Her relationships felt out of balance, her work was draining her, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. One evening, after a particularly tough day, she went for a walk along Lake Michigan. As she stood by the water, watching the waves crash against the shore, she realized something. She was always waiting for the energy she wanted to meet. She was waiting for people to show up with love, patience, and understanding. But what if instead she became that energy? Reality bends when belief begins. Jasmine's life had been a reflection of the energy she carried. The more she waited for others to bring peace into her world, the more she stayed disconnected from it herself. Jasmine made a choice that day. She decided to start showing up as the energy she was hoping to receive. Love, compassion, patience. She didn't wait for others to fix the vibe. She began being the vibe. Her relationships began to shift. Her work felt more fulfilling, and slowly, the world around her mirrored the inner peace she had created. Becoming the energy you want to meet doesn't mean being perfect. It means showing up as the best version of yourself, authentic, open, and full of the energy you want to attract. When you carry that energy, you begin to see it reflected in others, in your work, and in every interaction. Practice. This week, choose one situation where you typically feel drained or disconnected. Show up with the energy you want to meet. Be the patience, love, or positivity you wish to receive. Conclusion. Throughout this journey, we've explored how everything, yes, everything, exists as energy. From your thoughts to your emotions to the spaces you inhabit and the people you meet, energy is the thread that weaves it all together. But here's the most important truth I want you to take with you. You are not just a passenger in this energetic world. You are the creator of your own frequency. Every moment, every breath, every decision you make ripples through the universe. And as you become more aware of the energy you're radiating, you begin to realize that your power is limitless. You are not separate from the world around you. You are an active participant in the dance of life. Energy is constantly flowing through you, around you, and from you. The key is learning to harness it, to guide it, and to protect it when necessary. It's not about shutting out the world or hiding behind walls. It's about showing up fully, with intention, aware of your own vibration and the impact it has on everything and everyone you touch. You have the ability to shift your reality simply by shifting your energy, to choose peace over chaos, love over fear, connection over separation. And when you do, the world around you begins to mirror those choices. Reality bends when belief begins. Believe in your power, in your ability to transform your life, and in your connection to everything around you. You are energy, and that energy is enough. Final practice. Take a moment each day to tune into your energy. What are you radiating today? Choose to vibrate at the frequency you want to attract.